Welcome everybody to the patch note rundown, where we're now moving to Steam for the patch notes, and for the next playtest everybody will have access. This is a week-long test with 24/7 access to the game with split servers, so it's going to be very exciting. Now there are a lot of changes in this patch note, but I'll try to cover mainly the important parts for you who are newer players. Hope you enjoy. So the important thing here is that there are lots of notes, like lots of notes. And if you want to read through this yourself, you can go to the Steam page. Remember to wishlist the game, and then you can check out all the patch notes for yourself. I'll mainly be going through the important parts, which I think is crucial for people that will be new to the game to understand. So they're starting up with some system changes, damage / time to kill. This is more of an update on how the state has been earlier and what they're progressing and how they want to make things better. Then we have audio and etc. Now first important part is the power shards. So a new thing is that the power shards which you hold, which you can upgrade your equipment is that you have 2+ AP for each shard you hold. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that you want to hold your shards. You want to use your shards for sure. You want to upgrade your equipment. Remember to upgrade your equipment with power shards. But this does that when, say, everybody on your team is maxed out, they have all the equipment upgraded, then you can still get 2% extra, or like not 2%, but 2+ AP per shard that somebody has. So you can send all the shards to one team that you want potentially to have more AP. So over to some bug fixes as information. Next important thing is gold keys. Usually before, gold keys were used as a secret tool to find gold chests which you can get armor for, but now they changed it so you can also open vaults instantly. I think this will help gold keys to be more useful, as you often will just open one box and then you will just ignore all the keys. But now you can also use them to open vaults, which will make it possible to save a lot of time. So gold keys are more important now, opening armor chest and opening vaults. Next part, and we're getting into Hunter Mastery mission. You can see more about earning rewards for playing your hunters, which is a lot of fun. Then we get over to visual updates. I think this looks a lot better. I love how the new powers are looking, the layout, the new HUD system. I think it looks beautiful, and I hope you guys will like it as well. Then they're also adding a lot of voiceover, localization, so different languages, which is very exciting. And then also, you know, cosmetics. There will be Twitch drops for the next test. Remember, I'll be streaming every single day of the playtest, so if you want to get all of your Twitch drops, then drop by. Then there is also some currency changes, vibe points, like how they work. Not too important, but something fun to look out at in the shops. Map, more visual updates, and then here we get on to the next important thing, which is plane drops. So usually before you would just have one designated path, and then you would drop inside that path. Now the new thing is that you will have a bunch of different types of drop phases. There can be one phase where you can drop literally anywhere on the map, and then you just click wherever you want to go. There is another one where there is 4 ships on the map, small circles, and you can choose from which ship you want to drop from to which area. And there's a bunch of more situations. So I think it adds a lot more creativity in the early game. You have lots more options in how you want to be dropping, and every game feels more exciting in the early game. And this also ties into the hot zones. The hot zones are very important because this is where the gold armor spawns. Now there can be 1, 2, or 4 spots basically with gold armor. If there's 4 spots, that means there's 1 armor in each, and then 2, and then 1, 4 armors in 1 spot. Now this was usually in certain areas on the outer side of the map, but now we changed it so it can be literally anywhere on the map. This makes for a lot more different ideas of where you want to drop, how you want to drop, and each game will feel more exciting in the early game. I really like this change overall. Then there's some slight changes to Academy for the book system. You can use books to gain extra experience. They nerfed it a little bit, but they're good to get level 5 early. Vaults, some small changes for which powers percentage you have of getting in each vault. Vaults are important, remember to pick up your powers. Then we're getting over to the equipment updates. The important notes for equipment update is that before you start the game, you will have a tab in the top left area where you can choose if you want to go double weapon, double helm, or one helm or one. Now onto the equipment updates. The important thing about equipment updates is that you can now choose your kind of tier before you get into the game. You can choose double helm, double sword, or one helm plus one sword. And when you then unlock your first tier, you can choose which upgrade you want. So if you want the mana helm or the tech helm or the bladed helm, you choose that when you first upgrade. Now this makes it so you can't really change too much early, but you can buy out new equipment from the shops if you want to change it out, but this makes it easier to get your specific item. This also means that when you're killing mobs, you're not dropping equipment anymore, but they're dropping equipment upgrades. You're only getting certain upgrades, which means that you will have a clear bar of how many upgrades you need to get to the next tier of your equipment. I think this makes it easier to understand the system, and I hope everybody likes it. Now here, there are a bunch of updates for the upgrades. When you get blue tier, you can choose an upgrade. I will not go through every single part of this. Note that there are 3 paths on each equipment, which makes it possible to change the way you want to be playing and changes the stats or certain abilities and etc., which is very interesting. If you want to look more into this, remember when you get into game on Monday, that means that you can go through the codex part and look at all the different upgrades and what they do. Now we'll get to the next part, which is powers. There are new powers. Now we don't have all the explanations here, and it would take way too long for me to go through all the powers. Note that powers are super crucial for this game. Having good powers can make the change feel different, make you play different, and makes it a lot more fun in general. So remember to read through a lot of the powers, have fun, try out different things, and make sure that you just try to find what you really enjoy about the powers. But there's new powers in the exotic tier, some name changes, there's new no new rare powers, but there's new uncommon powers, something that's been brought back, and there's also some name changes here and there. So I hope you guys enjoy the powers. Then we get over to the balance changes. Some hunter changes, so we'll get through them fairly quickly. Bishop, slight change, nerf to the toughness, which means she gets less health with helm upgrades. There's also some changes to her LMB. Displacement charge, haymaker and blast off. Damage makeup tune for roughly 66% base and 33% AP to roughly 50% base and 50% AP. So this is like slight change in how the damage powers work. There is also a new level 3 upgrade. Now resets haymaker cooldown if you punch a satchel. It's a new way if you want to have that. Remember, you can only choose one level 3 upgrade per hunter, so choosing how you want to be changing your playstyle depending on which you find more interesting from the different hunters. The only way to get 2 is that you get level 10 with XP Soul. That's one way you can get more upgrades. Brawl, slight nerf to his damage on LMB and empowered state damage, but they have buffed the damage on his RMB by 10%. There's also new level 3 upgrade on his shift. Dashing leaves a clone behind. If the clone is hit with a projectile, Brawl gains stack on of Blazing Spirit, which is his passive. And then there's also some changes to phase steal change, feather speed reduced, so it's on the soft cap and on the full speed a little bit, and then a bug fix. I think Brawl is probably a little bit weaker with this. Actually, let me pull that back a bit. A little bit stronger. He was not really in like a super good state. I think because they're lowering the LMB damage and putting more in RMB, I think it's easier to get value out of it. When it was more of an LMB bot, I thought it was weaker. So this is probably like a slightly good buff for Brawl. We have Luna changes, toughness lowered, so less value from Helm items. Very tiny though, just 0.5. Crescent Bolt LMB, so base damage and damage per stack increased by 10%. Max burn stacks increased from 4 to 5, and then movement speed penalty when firing Crescent Bolt is reduced. This is also like a slight buff to Luna. I don't think this changes too much, but she's happy with it overall. Toughness lowered for Felix, also just like a 0.5 to try to balance things more out. Ignite passive once again reduces the cooldown of his level 3 ability by 20% when Felix applies or upgrades Ignite. This is good. It was something that was removed. Taking it back makes it easier for him to play overall. And then Heat Shield, cooldown increased to compensate for passive change, so slightly up. So a slight little nerf to Felix. I think he's still in a very good state. I'll be going deeper into my thoughts on the hunters in my tier list video, which will be coming out tomorrow. Then we're on to Ghost. Spike Grenade, days duration on directly stuck enemies increased by 0.2. Days slow increased further 40%, and now respects line of sight. Combat slide, the shift minimum cooldown on tap dash increased to 4 seconds. Arcane Railgun beam damage increased by 10%, and then yaw dampening lowered by 10%. This means you can move your beam around more after you cast it and before it fires. And then some color updates on his ultimate. I still think Ghost is like an undervalued hunter at the moment. I think he has a lot of value. This doesn't change too much. It's like slight nerves and slight buffs. It like goes across overall. Probably something that might be harder to play into certain hunters, but I think he has pretty high value overall. Hudson, formerly known as Gunner, following through on his mini rework. Toughness also lowered, and another 0.5 nerf there. New passive, Hudson regenerate 1+ armor per second when out of combat. And the minigun no longer has heat and overheat mechanic. Overclock RMB, formerly Q. Press and hold to increase the spin rate. So now you just have more control over, like, you're activating your minigun instead of playing around the overheat mechanic. Now hover jet shift now has 2 charges. And a salvage hook, an enemy. Salvaging an enemy this way drops a scrap engine pickup for allies, which restore 25% health and armor. I still think that Hudson is in a weak state. I don't think he really fits the controller aspect at the moment. I'm curious to see what other changes they'll try out with Hudson, but I'm still not too much of a fan with these changes. I don't think they'll help him too much, so he's probably still on the lower end for the hunter pool. Now over to Jin, formerly known as Stalker. I'm glad we're rid of that name. Welcome, Jin. Oh, he's hot now. Think about this when you're getting stabbed to death. I guess we'll be seeing some quality changes for his splash art and for his character UI, which will be interesting to see. Now, his LMB no longer applies a mark on enemies. RMB level 3 upgrade still applies mark. Reduced bonus armor shred by 1, and then added 0.2 wind down attacks, flash dagger, visual update, and damage at max range reduced. Clone on R. Clone now aims at cursor, is generally better at following orders. I think for new players, Jin will probably feel very strong. He thrives in environments where things are crazy and things are just happening all over the place. His damage output will still be pretty good overall. I think it's like a slight nerf, but I think Jin will probably be still very good for the new people coming in. Now on to Jewel. Fridge.gif. Oh, sorry, lol. I'll not check what that is. Maybe I will. Who knows? Lightning Strike on Q. Ability warm-up visual update to be much louder noticeable. Volcanic Spear RMB now does explosive damage. So the explosive damage on RMB is important because it helps her in the matchup against Oath, because Oath was like a notorious super counter to Jewel. Explosive damage means that she can easily get through the shield. Overall, I think Jewel is in a very good state overall. She's like slightly nerfed. She was really strong last patch, but then felt weak because of Oath. Will help with the Oath matchup, but also her items have been slightly nerfed. So I do think that Jewel is still very strong, but not like top tier or anything. Kingpin, my favorite at the moment. Primal Slam, new level 3 upgrade. Now applies up to 75% bonus damage based on Kingpin's distance from the ground when cast. I think this is great and I love the change. I was lucky to try it out a little bit on veteran test and I think it's a lot of fun. So engaging fights with Kingpin from above and then smashing down onto somebody is really satisfying. I'll probably be going level 3 upgrade on Slam most of the time, so I think it's a good buff to Kingpin. I enjoy it. Myth, some changes aimed at raising Myth's skill floor while also throwing in some necessary nerfs for those health changes specifically. As one of the most elusive huntresses around, we think if she does get caught, that's on you, dog. That's a good thing. So slight nerf on her base health and health per level, which is fine. Then some adjustment timing on green shots. Here has the green and the blue shots. Some bug fixes there. Half piercer RMB knockback amount is weighed much more towards charge time and less towards distance of shot. I think this is an interesting change. Minimum charge time is up 0.5. Not much. Can no longer hold infinitely. Auto fires after 1.9, which is a slight nerf. You can't really just hold it how long you want. And then new level 3 upgrade now gains a charge of phase walk. Shift whenever you successfully waltz on Heart Piercer. I think it's an interesting upgrade. I don't know how viable it will be. I'll ask the Myth mains, but interesting overall. And then Rain of Arrows, arc with increase up close, decrease at long range. Yeah, I think this is good to nerf her like intense poking abilities. So like a slight nerf overall to Myth, but I still think she'll be in a good state overall. Then on to Oath, toughness lowered from 7 to 6. So he was really oppressive. They want to take that down a little bit. Now his LMB now charges twice as fast, but his damage ratios are decreased or like adjusted a little bit. But yeah, you can charge up your hammer faster but deal a little bit less damage, so balancing that out I think is good overall. And then new level 3 shift upgrade, hitting an enemy with spin dash resets shield bash. Yeah, so before you could just get a reset on the shield bash without level 3 upgrade, but now you need to choose level 3 to get that upgrade, which I think it's so slight nerf to Oath. I think it still will be pretty good. Like he was mega strong last patch, so he'll go from mega broken to like still pretty good overall. Shiv, as our premier mechanics hunter, we should see Shiv's relative power win rate improve from low skill to high skill, meaning she should see more success in high skill games as a high mechanics hunter, but this just isn't true. We want to make it true, so here are changes to make it true. So we're going to be looking at some buffs here. Increased mastery assassin stack duration from 4 to 5. Base damage reduced actually a tiny bit. And power damage increased though. So yeah, the base down and powered up. Damage per mastery assassin stack increased. Chain balls, new level 3 upgrade. So okay, so what I'm getting at this pretty easily is that you will get less value from when you're hitting less shots basically. The important thing about Shiv is always being in the danger zone, but then continuously building up your empowered state and being into the fight. And the longer you're in fight and the more you hit continually, the more damage you get from it. So I think it's like a step in the right direction. It's going to be interesting to see how the changes actually feel. So probably gonna not feel too much of the changes in the lower settings if you're new to the game, but higher MMR players that are on Shiv will probably feel this is a decent buff overall. We'll see how it actually pans out. Now on to Shrike. Shrike can now hold LMB to continuously fire. Yeah, so before you just have to like shoot each shot, but now you can hold it and continuously do it. They removed so you can get disengage reset on each knock. You don't have to get a level 3 upgrade. And now it's a new one. Causes the projectile to mark targets with her passive. Dive bomb new level 3 upgrade, lowers ability cooldown by 2 seconds and increase the cremation burn rate of wisps that hits. No longer grants a second charge at level 3. So I think it's a nerf overall, honestly, because the double charge was really strong in there. Scout Hawk, level 3 upgrade, increased vision radius by 50%. Interesting. No longer marks enemies. So I feel like it's a little bit of a nerf overall on Shrike, but the Shrike is the low MMR stomper. So if you're new to the game, Shrike is really good because a lot of people have struggling of noticing the second shot when you get marked by Shrikes. You deal a lot of damage and can easily one-shot people. So if you want to be stomping the new lobbies and you feel confident with your aim, then Shrike will still be really strong overall. Now on to Seth. He also was really strong last patch, so we'll see what they did with him. Heal amount lowered by 20% is a decent amount of lowered. New level 3 upgrade now grants a short movement speed buff to the target and no longer grants the 4 charge. So very small changes. Of course it's like gonna be a slight nerf, but again, 7 off on a high elo tier were broken, so I think they're going from broken to being just top tier. For lower MMR, I don't think you will notice these changes too much. He'll still be like in a middle of the pack spot. We'll get more into that in the tier list video for tomorrow. That was all for the balance changes, it looks like, for now. So make sure that you check out my Hunter tier list tomorrow if you want to get more in depth for that. And then we just have quality of life changes and bug fixes to round this up. You can now cancel more consistently with wasp movements. Trees now makes you hidden if you're actually between trees, like if you're in the bush, so you can't just see anybody if they're in the middle of the tree stack and you're higher up in them. And then cast range on hover, settings, and then a lot of bug fixes overall. So I want to say I'm really positive surprised that like my first impression of the patch notes is really good. It's going to be interesting to see how it feels overall. I don't think there's any like crazy changes or anything, but I think it's just a really good step in the right direction. Some good changes overall, and I'm really excited to just be able to play this game whenever I want for a whole week. We're getting closer and closer to open beta. So make sure that you check out my stream and also check out my Hunter video, which will be coming out tomorrow, and I'll be catching you guys on the Skylands.